Right now is the time for President Obama to go on offense. He's been backpedaling for weeks now. The question is, how can he push past the scandals, the mess-ups, and try and move forward to get something done in this rapidly moving second term? And next, is stop and frisk about black and white? The former police chief surprised the judge in the trial by saying he never even heard anybody complaining about the practice. I want to know if you buy that. And later, is Christine Quinn in actual free fall? Now that the mayoral race is picking up, has the shine come off the bold and brash city council speaker? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to RFL. I apologize in advance for my voice here. I'm Richard French. It'll make everyone at the table happy because I'll shut up now. We have a lot going on this Monday evening, May 13th, and we begin tonight with a question. And the question really is both strategy and practicality for the White House. Is it time they stop taking punches and start throwing a few as well? They've been on defense for some time now. In the last few weeks, the White House, they've had to swat off one blunder after another. Now, whether it's allegations that the IRS has been targeting conservative groups.
If you've got the IRS operating in anything less than a neutral and nonpartisan way, then that is outrageous.
Okay, not good on that. Or the administration's mishandling when it came to the attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi.
No, the only report that our mission made through every channel was that there had been an attack on a consulate.
Not a protest.
No protest.
Or how about that spectacular failure when it came to the background check bill we thought everybody was behind? Or how about the renewed effort, believe it or not, once again, to repeal health care reform? That's probably not how the president envisioned his second term would be going at this point. While he's also trying to beat the clock back before the lame duck session fully kicks in. All right, I want to bring in a panel on this. We got O'Brien Murray, Republican political consultant. He managed the campaign for former Congressman Bob Turner. We got political journalist and author Dominic Carter, of course, and our senior political correspondent, Andrew Whitman. And Andrew, President started off today at the press conference. It was really only going to be two questions. He was with David Cameron today, but he made it clear the IRS thing wasn't just a little boo-boo, it was a big screw-up. But it doesn't look like it went anywhere near the White House. It looks at this point like it was low-level members at the IRS who screwed things up. But nonetheless, it's got a story with legs. It'll go for days. It feeds into all the worst suspicions out there that there is a bias against the conservative groups.
That the allegation is basically that the IRS targeted specifically Tea Party and similarly leaning conservative groups in terms of audits and other focuses, questions and answers, that sort of thing. It's managed to unite a lot of conservatives and Republicans who had otherwise been a little bit fractured up on the Hill. The president's saying basically, if there's any truth to this, we're not going to stand for that. On Benghazi, he was a lot more forceful in his response in terms of slamming some of the people who've criticized him over the last week.
And Dominic, a lot of people have been waiting for this for a while to say, listen, yeah, you had this fight during the election. Now, the Benghazi story, more details are coming up, but there isn't a smoking gun that said cover up, cover up. But a lot of lawmakers, even the John McCains of the world, they're comfortable throwing that term around. The president, he pushed back today.
He did push back, but Rich, maybe I'm in the minority here. How can you be on the offensive when everything else is pointing that you should be on the defensive? The administration, in my opinion, has a little problem right now. The IRS thing is awful. And you can't explain that away as minor level plays. Where the checks and balances above them. It just, all around the picture, they're not having a good month so far.
But you've been around enough campaigns to know, even if the facts aren't on your side here, or momentum is, at a certain point, you got to stop turtling up. You got to start throwing. Because from the White House's perspective, say, time out. We got the public behind us. We've been going out for lunches and dinners with the Republicans. We still couldn't get gun control through. And look what they're now going to make their agenda, try to repeal Obamacare. We had this fight before. It doesn't matter what we do. They're still going to just believe their job is to be obstructionary. And then you add on top of it the IRS stuff, and now you got obviously the Benghazi story that's been resurrected. It's clear, and no one's going to convince me otherwise, the GOP doesn't want to get anything done with this president in the second term. And if there's a distraction, they're going to wrap their arms around it with both hands.
Well, let's back up a second. First off, the IRS, the other parts the president talked about was he used the words fully accountable and you should be properly concerned about this.
Yep.
So he went beyond what he just said about it being outrageous, number one. Number two, perception is reality. Yes, it may be low-level staffers, whatever level you want to say, that had the authority to do this, but this is a story I heard about a year ago from people that were trying to set up C4s during the campaign period and had issues they wanted to bring to the forefront, which is perfectly legal of what you want to do. And the goal is to make sure when people are paying attention, you get your issues out in front. That's what C4s do. They don't say vote for someone or vote against someone. They bring an issue to the forefront, no matter what it is. So this was a year ago. Attorneys were telling me, be careful if you do the C4 route because the IRS is holding up everybody and asking questions. At the same time, when they ask those questions, that takes time and money to do it. So what they're really doing is limiting free speech. I ran a C4.
One second, though. Here's my only point about this, and I know a little bit about this. If you're trying to set up a nonprofit, okay, it's pretty clear you cannot have political motivations in terms of being a political organization. Now, I'm not pleased. Nobody think I'm defending what the IRS did. But their job is to make sure that these aren't phony fronts here for political operations, right?
When I was in Washington,
am I right though?
You are not. There's laws about what you can do and can't do. So when you use the word political, that's a very loaded word. I ran an organization in Washington, the Free Enterprise Fund. I had a C3, which you can write off tax donations for, and with that, we challenged the constitutionality of Sarbanes-Oxley and took that to the Supreme Court. Nothing political about that, purely a court fight. Perfectly legal, a nonprofit, tax deductible. We had C4, that with that, I ran a nationwide campaign to try to kill the death tax. Didn't go after somebody running for office.
Okay,
it was an issue.
You're 100%
and
right,
that's
but
what
here's
it was.
my thing.
I had a 527 and a PAC.
I got that, but here's my question. When there is a group, and I can't believe I'm fighting the IRS fight, I'm picking the most unpopular thing.
You're the only one in the country doing it, Richard.
My only point is, anybody you say you stop 10 guys in the street, there's a Tea Party about trying to get people elected and unelected. 10 out of 10 are going to say yes.
But when you spend the money a certain way, you are allowed to do it, and you're allowed to speak freely, and the government can't stop you from doing so. You have the right to associate with who you want and spend your money.
You heard
cannot
the time,
say
Andrew. I got 30
things.
seconds, but here's my point. What does the president want to do? President wants to get gun control passed. President and Republicans, if they're smart more than he does, want to get something of immigration reform actually done. The president, he's got the whole idea of when he first came into office, he's finally got the economy turned around a little bit, that he wants to do some stuff in his second term. He can't do any of this. So I guess my question is, does he just wait?
But tell me how going on offense against the very people that he needs to try to get their support to get his agenda passed is actually going to help him get his agenda passed.
Well, if he turtles up and doesn't say anything, it gives credibility to this idea here that the administration, there was some grand cabal that they wanted the IRS to go after the Tea Party, which we know isn't the case.
A week and a half ago, we were talking about, we need the charm offensive. We need more cooperation between the White House and Congress.
Can we say that was a stupid idea?
But now we're suggesting, let's get into it and throw punches back and forth. I mean, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Richard's recommending that. What I'm saying is, reach across the aisle. Let's agree on what we can agree on. Let's pass things. Let's put people back to work. Let's make sure we spend less and get spending under control.
But O'Brien, what can we pass? I mean, with this Republican caucus of no to Obama, what can he pass?
No, it's not no to Obama. It's no to unrealistic expectations.
So what can he pass?
Why don't we make sure we
pass?
How was background checks on guns unrealistic when 90% of Americans want it? How's that unrealistic?
When you talk about one specific vote like that, okay, the Democrats didn't all vote for it either.
90% of them did.
They passed Obamacare without any of us. They couldn't do this alone, and they went out there on their own.
This is why people hate Washington right here, right now.
The issue of background checks in and of themselves. I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday in New York City who was talking about the issue is not a background check. The issue is once I have my permit and I'm allowed to go by, they still want to run background checks every single time. And therefore, the people that issue the permit.
You couldn't believe that I argue the IRS. I can't believe that you're arguing that a background check is too onerous right now.
A background check is not too onerous.
Maybe
a background check
is
not the issue.
Maybe that's what was happening.
It's not the issue of background checks. It's the issue of what they do in the course of doing the background checks.
10 minutes into the show, we still agree absolutely on nothing here.
And your voice hasn't gotten any better.
Absolutely.
See, if you talk like this by that second segment, you won't be able to talk anymore, Richard.
I can guarantee the next one will have debate as well. It's on one of our favorite subjects here, on stop and frisk. And we talk about the practice, and we thought there were certain things that we agreed on. Apparently not. Really fascinating testimony. I'm going to get into this with Dominic here, where you have a former police chief, literally the #2 guy, testified that he never even heard anybody complain about profiling. Do you buy that here? A lot of interesting questions come out of this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.